Hi there to my Earth dominant people. You know you're Earth dominant if you went to astro.com and you see the majority of your planets are in Earth signs, or your Kapha dosha, or you just resonate with the Earth style, right? So however you got here, we'll trust that. Let's see what's coming up for our Earth dominant people. So we have, this is from Healing Crystals crystal card deck, Caribou and Iolite. Caribou being the spirit animal, and then Iolite being the crystal. Spiritual journey, endurance, duality. Spirit of Caribou, though I may face arduous times, remind me of my endurance to see this journey to its end. Thank you, Aho. So there's a reminder here that we need to focus on endurance, right? And maybe there wasn't enough acknowledgement at the beginning of a particular endeavor or the relationship on endurance. So there are elements there that are unsustainable, right? Sometimes that can be in preparation when we're talking about Earth dominant people. This emphasis on preparedness, right? Competence, understanding, accumulating information. This perfectionistic tendency can come in, and this component can come in with Earth exacerbation. So perhaps these are things we're considering with some endeavor, right? Or relationship, or whatever it is. How do we make it more sustainable? How do we think about the long-term game, the long-term implications in our lives, and if this is sustainable for us? Let's flesh this out a little bit with some oracle cards. Clear and shield your energy. So clear and shield your energy might be coming up because maybe this endeavor is a collaboration, and you need to have firmer boundaries around things that you value and that are deal breakers, right? If this is a relationship or a partnership somehow. Where your intent or where your intentions got muddied, your values aren't really aligned, and you're losing passion. Maybe there's something here that needs to be sorted through to put you back on track. What are the moving parts? Perfect timing is coming up. Earth dominant people love the word perfect. This is the right time for you to move forward. So maybe there's something really heavy that has been weighing you down. And maybe that's being cleared. Trusting divine timing, trusting in the timing. Right, when you think of a mountain, which I probably have the icon of a mountain here to represent Earth. When you think of a mountain, it takes a long time for it to move. Right, this isn't an overnight thing. So trusting in that everything is moving in accordance, in time, right? In the perfect time. This is divine timing. Practicing patience here. And you've got the power. You've got the power. Use your abilities to resolve this situation. You can do it. So maybe there was something about conflict coming up here. Being solid in your values, in your opinion of yourself, right? And what you're capable of. Having confidence around that. Holding your ground here. Where should we go from here? Let's look at let's see if there's a guide working with you here from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray, and just see what we're working on here. Is there a pleasing patterning that you're breaking? Oops. Okay. Well, we got Mother Earth. Feel loved and comforted. Mother Earth. So tuning into Mother Earth, you know, the Schumann resonance, the frequency of the earth, right, has been fluctuating, and it's creating disturbances in the energy system, or perceived maybe agitation or anxiety at times. Some people experience it that way because it creates this fluctuation in our energy field and our resonance, right? The heart, the electromagnetic field of the heart is the kind of like the stabilizer. So it will work to harmonize with that frequency, and then it will feel like a disruption for us in some way. So that's been fluctuating a bit. So maybe you're sensitive to that. You're really in tune with the frequency of the earth. So you might want to look into the Schumann resonance and see where it's at. There are people that measure it and update us to let us know. For those of us that are really attuned to the earth, just noticing when you have those experiences, it might be related. Maybe you are an earth empath, right? Really in tune with the earth element and Mother Earth. So that could also be the collaboration we're looking at here, and your sustainability here, right? Knowing when these things come up for you, that there's no need to link it to external circumstances or what's going on for you. It could just be this harmonizing mechanism that's happening. Let's go to the archetype cards by Carolyn Neese and see what part of you wants to take the spotlight here to bring us more information around what's happening for my earth dominant people. I'm actually working on creating a more sustainable, making this a more sustainable project for myself. So I'm resonating a bit with this in that maybe make the reading shorter so it doesn't take so much of my time. Reminding people that they can donate, right? So that there's more reward for me. Encouraging people to sign up for readings or sessions, because I can't monetize this channel yet, so it's not reciprocal quite yet, in that I'm giving a lot of energy and information, and it's not subscription based. So I'm trying to figure out ways where I'm being more responsible with my energy and my time and my information, right? That I've invested a lot of money, time, energy into not only collecting, but digesting through my own experiences. And, you know, I need to begin valuing them differently. I'm getting that call too. So that might be something you're experiencing as well. We have scribe. Scribe is the part that wants to take the spotlight here. Scribe, preserving knowledge and information, right? And then the shadow, that's the light attribute. And then the shadow attribute, altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. So that's what's coming up. Interesting, right? Because what I just said about my investment in gathering this information, studying with different teachers, feeling like I'm preserving information as well, like finally feeling confident in that and understanding that what I have to share and offer is probably very niche. It's probably not for everybody. So maybe limiting who has access to it is not a bad idea, particularly for someone with a sensitive system. Not that I'm not open to building the muscle, but I've noticed as I take the journey through the tarot on this channel, as I'm in the Wands week right now upon recording this, the Wands are very passionate, angry, emotional, fiery. They represent the fire element. And I'm getting a lot of that energy, combative energy coming at me. I've noticed, not a lot, but like on Instagram and I do appreciate the opportunities to look into myself and grow and to consider others' perspectives. I don't want to eliminate that experience, but I do want to conserve my energy and know what is an opportunity and what is going to be a waste of my energy. So I'm considering that, limiting access somehow, but I don't have any solid plans yet. But there's something here about you and your inner scribe, preserving knowledge, right? What is it that you've really researched, really studied? And is there a person you're working with currently that's challenging that, or not valuing it, or not on your level, right? So there's this unsustainable factor. We'll get more information. Let's go right to the tarot, actually. I'm going to go to the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti to get some more information about this. Duality, spiritual journey is coming up with the Caribou and the Iolite, as well as the Endurance. Something about the Earth style is people that have that Earth style tend to be very well studied. Have gathered a lot of information. Are you finding ways to preserve that or share that information so that it's still alive and well, right? So that it's still circulating. Interesting. Let's see. Okay, so the bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands. So we're talking about stability here, right? Endurance, what will endure? And this is a partnership card. So this can be relationship oriented, partnership oriented. Something that's coming in right now, I don't know if this is going to land or make sense, but something coming in about the preserving of information, in a way being about you wanting to share, wanting to share stuff about you, things about you, your experiences, your wisdom with another person, maybe even your pain, right? Wanting, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. Wanting somebody else to share this experience, this journey with you. We also want to consider, if it's a romantic partnership, is that beneficial for attraction, right? We don't want to lose respect, or that component of attraction that we lose with familiarity, right? You ever hear familiarity breeds contempt. So know when medicine for earth can be ether. Know when, and ether represents space, silence. So know when the perfect time, when it's the perfect time to use silence or space, right? Usually people aren't excellent at verbalizing their needs, and we start to get indirect communication through other cues, hoping that we'll understand the cue. So just noticing those moments, and not, it's not about not communicating and making all kinds of assumptions, but it is something about wanting to overshare parts of ourselves in order to preserve our story, or that's coming in as something to think about, in that it might not be best for attraction or a romantic partnership, if that's what this is resonating with for you, or any relationship really, right? Considering where there's an overshare and pulling back to reinstate respect. There might be a power play here coming in. So what's coming up with the Tarot? The Six of Wands is coming in. This is a victory card. This is a triumph. This is coming out on top. This might be the desire, right? So there might be a power play here. Someone wanting control. We have the Page of Wands, followed by the Queen of Wands. So there might be a difference in age or maturity level with somebody in your life. And that might be what is preventing this balance. But what's coming in is the Justice card. So the Justice card comes in when there's something balancing, right? Balancing scales. It can also be Libra energy. That might have meaning for you. It's also what's fair. What's fair to you, what's fair to the other person. It looks like this page may have walked away from the Queen. And her body language is still The lower part of her body is still pointed in that direction, although she's looking forward. So there may have been a past with an insecure or younger, immature, less mature male, as the page is a male here. Could be vice versa though. And it might be informing how you're moving forward, right? Maybe there's an overcompensation now. That tends to happen. The Justice card is coming in to provide balance, to balance this back out so that you're able to create more sustainability in partnership, in relationship, a balancing back from the oversharing, overgiving, over functioning. And then we have a new beginning card here with the cup, the Ace of Cups. So there's a moon cycle here that's demonstrated, right? We just had upon recording this, we had a new moon, but I record this a bit ahead of time. So a new beginning. There's the moon caught my eye, so there could be a link with moon signs, like the person from the past had the same moon sign as you, so it felt very familiar, or a link, some kind of association with the moon. Moon can also represent mother, so maybe they have the same sign as your mother, or like astrologically, or there's a familiarity there, right? Maybe creating familiarity, or creating sort of a toxic connection with somebody who reminds you of the abuse or neglect you received as a child from your mother, in order to heal that, to revisit it, to look at it, or as an indication that there's still something unresolved to be healed, worked through, digested, whatever it is. Maybe that was in the past. This new connection, though, shows an eye opened, third eye awakening, with the illumination of this pattern, right? So maybe you're more awake to this pattern. You're more aware. You give yourself more time and space to observe, right? You don't go all in. That's what this balancing's about. You know where to invest, how the timing of investment, right? So it becomes a sustainable partnership. Maybe that was a learning curve for you because that wasn't modeled. Well, we don't see usually the beginning stages of the parental relationship. So we don't usually see that modeled. So, but maybe we didn't have any role models around that, so we didn't see it modeled. But we're learning, we're growing. We're breaking these unhealthy patterns that had us up at night with nightmares, anxiety, thinking we're not good enough, thinking we're the problem, like giving too much of ourselves to somebody, right? Wanting them to hold our pain, giving people pieces of ourselves to care for, right? And thinking that's a partnership, but it's unsustainable. And I think this is what was learned. This is the learning curve. Because once we come out of that, and sometimes, this card can indicate nightmares as well. And sometimes that's where the subconscious is releasing, illuminating patterns, right? That can also be this indication here of the moon card with the third eye awakening and the, illuminating the subconscious through dream work, healing this connection, maybe on a different plane, right? If this is someone you don't want to talk to again, maybe you're healing this on another plane, another dimension. as well as in your subconscious, changing the imagery. Maybe you are having nightmares to release. Negative patterns are breaking up. Maybe you're up late at night with insomnia. Some of it is the Schumann resonance, maybe, and maybe looking into that will help. That can also be like this cycle. Look into these cycles, these frequencies, right? The moon rules the tides, and that affects us. Maybe you're just very sensitive to these planetary bodies. The moon's not a planet, I know that. But maybe you're just sensitive to these influences, right? Just being aware of that and honoring that. But on the other side, of going through this time of releasing, right? Whether it be through the nightmares or facing this, addressing this, because, there's an owl in the window too here. I notice there's also a moon, a crescent moon here. There's an owl in the window, and owls are about the wisdom we gained as we go through these hardships. What muscles have we built going through these challenges? The discernment, right? Oftentimes when we come through these hardships, we go through these hard times, these difficult times, we learn better self-care protocols. We learn not to overinvest, right? Particularly if you have a sensitive reactive system, it doesn't take many cycles for you to learn, right? It might just take one cycle. Oh, okay, I overinvested. I'm not going to do that again, right? And we don't want to overcorrect or overcompensate, but Earth dominant people love preparedness. Maybe this is something you've investigated and you've gathered information on, and now you've even more competence around how to create a more balanced situation and who to invest in. That's often the problem, right? That's often the only issue. And we make it mean something about us or our approach. And it's often just we've chosen the wrong people. That's where to start too, because the King of Wands is coming up. There's a king looking for his queen. King of Wands looking for his queen. Right? Whatever gender, it doesn't matter, whatever gender. But the King of Wands is searching. What you're seeking is seeking you. But it looks like you're more, there's less of a search here for this queen. She is focused on her process, her passion, her connection, and her healing right now. Interesting how I got that intuitive hit about the scribe being about relationship. Because that could have gone down a very different path. Sometimes I'm amazed by this process. But, the bottom of the deck, again, I'm going to reiterate, the Four of Wands, that's so meaningful when we're talking about endurance, laying the stable foundation, right? Not only that, but who we're choosing to build with is very important. And it looks like in the past, there were some bad investments made only because we chose poorly. Yeah. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see. This already went longer than I had intended. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards to see what medicine. And then we'll end it with crazy sexy love notes. Again, shield yourself. This is the second time shield yourself has come up. Protect yourself from harsh or fear-based energies by envisioning a cocoon of healing light around you, surrounding you. So shield yourself came up twice, right? Clear and shield your energy, and then shield yourself as the angel medicine. So, arming yourself with knowledge and awareness and discernment about who to invest in, right? Choosing the right person is going to be key component. Open and honest communication, learning maybe how to get out of the power play, right? Which does come up, right? It is testing to see if a relationship or a potential partner has the ability to endure a long-term relationship, or it or testing for that strength does come up. Can we do that consciously? Can we do that more consciously by asking questions and being open and observing, instead of maybe using tactics or harsher methods, right? Or not allowing ourselves to be subjected to it. Just being more open with communication. Not to invest, not to overshare, but to ask the right questions and to learn about signs that someone would make a good partner, if that's what we're looking for, right? Preparedness, basically. We have make waves. Interesting, right? Speaking up. Consciously testing by asking the right questions. It's your turn to make a splash and rock a few creaky boats. Don't be afraid to get wet. You may fail, you may look foolish, or you may make people think in a new way. Every great trailblazer and change maker made waves. You're no different. So this is a something that is working out in the right timing. We got perfect timing. You've got the power. And this is maybe about your personal power and boundaries and how to create conscious relationship in every area, not just romance. We have your connection to Mother Earth and your sensitivity to those other influences, such as the lunar cycle, the Schumann resonance, right? The scribe is showing up wanting to conserve or preserve information, knowledge and information, right? And maybe the scribe is like, I want my story preserved, so I'm sharing it with this person I value, and that's not valuable to them, at least not in creating attraction. So, learning the best approach to create sustainable relationships, partnerships, right, to carry through. We have iolite here. Maybe that's a stone you resonate with. The animal spirit of caribou, right? Maybe that's energy to work with this week. And make waves. Don't be afraid to speak up, ask questions, be polarizing, be yourself, right? Yeah, let me know if that resonated. Is that what's coming up for you this week? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel. If you want a personal reading session or to donate to the channel, that's all in the description of this video. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye, empath. Hi there to my water dominant people. So water dominant just means you've gone to astro.com and you know the majority of your planets are in water. You resonate with water style, right? You might be sensitive and intuitive, or understand relationship dynamics, that sort of thing. Also, yeah, you might just resonate with our water style. You might also have other dominant elements that you want to check out. But let's see what's coming up this week for my water dominant people. This is a crystal card from Healing Crystals, Cerussite. I've never worked with this one before. Cerussite is a record keeper, grounding. I'm getting a lot of messages from my water dominant friend. Record keeper, grounding transition. Record keeper, grounding transition. I integrate all that I have learned from my past lives into the present. So something's coming up here. A patterning is being highlighted, and the origin is in a past life or past experience, and you're being regressed, right? Something's triggering you into this pattern, and it's not quite to your awareness level yet. It's not quite in your conscious yet, but it's coming up. It keeps coming around until you pay attention. So let's flesh that out a little bit. We have a couple came out because they were stuck together. A couple crystal cards. Appetite. Progress, not perfection. Don't compare yourself to others or judge yourself. Instead, focus upon how far you've come and all that you've learned. And then we have ametrine. Balancing masculine and feminine energies. Allow your feminine side to creatively inspire you and your masculine side to give you confidence. So while they were stuck together, I'm going to take them both and assume that they're coming up. They're both coming up for a purpose. So your process and your path is going to be unique and individual. So your confidence is not going to come from comparing to others. And we're tempted to do that sometimes, right? We're tempted to compare to feel better, but that also hurts us, doesn't it? When we don't measure up. We have this, women have this tendency to have an ideal image of a woman that we never live up to, this perfectionism, and we punish ourselves for it. So we also hold men to those standards too. And it's just not helpful. So there's also this indication that there's been past lives as a man and a woman. That create different personality traits and sort of this kaleidoscope of experiences in a way that inform our process and what we do and how we show up. So you might find that there are attributes and aspects of you that feel very masculine in approach, and then there are others that feel very feminine. There's sort of a compartmentalization that's happening here. Not a bad thing, but almost like a stick shift when you're driving, you go into different modes. So this personality is called for here. So I'm gonna step into that role. And maybe you're wanting a little bit more fluidity in that. Maybe you're wanting a little more grace and ease with this role. What's coming to mind is, as a singer, I would always note with teachers that I was trained very specifically as a singer with classical training. So I noticed that when I would step on stage, my banter with the audience would always be really relaxed, and I would feel very confident in that part. But then when I got to the singing portion, I would take on the posture of a singer and I would become this different person. My voice would change. It would show up as the singer, very classical and refined. And that's not always called for. And I just wanted more. I wanted to not shift gears so much into singing mode. I wanted it to be a natural extension of my speaking voice. And And I never quite achieved that. That's still something I work on as a singer. So that's the example that's coming up. Sort of this, and this is a natural progression as we empower ourselves in a certain area or gain an expertise, right? We model or put on this persona of what we assume is called for or needed. And it's not quite a natural extension of ourselves yet. That's a natural progression. Let's get another oracle card. Alchemy. Alchemy. You have the Midas touch right now, and every project you begin turns to gold. So alchemy, there's an inner alchemist here. So it's almost like transcending this compartmentalization of these different aspects of yourself and understanding that they're all parts of you, and creating something even better as we acknowledge the whole, right? Or our true self. And acknowledging and observing these parts in action. Acknowledging them is the key. Right? There are different philosophies and approaches. Some approaches talk about integration, integrating different aspects of yourself. A lot of the modalities I've worked with work with integration of the shadow aspects. And then some work with coherence, acknowledging that there are moving parts. And we're not looking to absorb or dissolve any of them. But we also don't over-identify with any one or two, right? And that's the focus of the work. So, and an alchemist takes different elements and transmutes them so that the whole is greater than the sum of their parts. So owning aspects of yourself and working with them to raise the frequency so that they're living in the highest potential is the work of an alchemist, right? And with inner alchemy, when we're talking about inner alchemy. So this might be highlighted this week. Let's go to the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray for my water dominant people, and see with a water dominant person, you might find that many of your sensitive parts are being protected by protector parts. There might also be a firefighter part that comes in to soothe any heightened emotions that feel unsettling, right? Might come in to soothe with some kind of ritual or activity or substance. A firefighter might come in let's see what guide is working with the water dominant people. So, Lord, take charge with authority is coming up. So this might be this masculine part that's showing up. With the confidence, right? Because we were talking about balancing masculine and feminine energies, allowing your feminine side to creatively inspire you and your masculine side to give you confidence. So this masculine guide is encouraging you to take charge of this aspect of your life that maybe feels a little out of control right now. Can we have these parts work together? Right? There's a firefighter part that's coming up to soothe. There's an activity here that we go to that maybe isn't the healthiest, and we're looking to transform it. And maybe there are origins in a past life for either the unsettling emotions or the pattern of how we soothe them. So a meditation on that might help. I also offer past life regression work. There might also be this idea of creating more coherence by having these parts relate to one another. And if they hold opposite beliefs or ideas, right, because we all have that polarity and those contradictions, we can okay, so this firefighter part is thinking, I shouldn't be feeling this. I shouldn't feel this way. Or I can't sustain this. I've got to end this feeling, this sensation. And so the activity comes in. Or I grab for the dairy, right? Or I turn on the TV, or whatever it is, whatever the activity or behavior is to soothe or to disconnect from the feeling that's coming in. Then there's this authoritative part, this manager part, who wants to take charge and take authority, who's not afraid of this. He's not willing to back down. He can see this as a challenge to overcome. And he's less connected to the emotions, it sounds like. It feels like, as I tune in. So and both of them are protecting you from a feeling aspect of yourself, possibly a young aspect, a child, right? The child part that's carrying this pain, this burden. So if this is a pattern, oh, and the gears. So can you see how you're shifting into these different gears? Right? A pattern might look like I'm just charging ahead, I'm charging forward, I feel confident, and then we hit a trigger. Something comes up where, oh, I don't feel good enough, or we perceive love's being taken away, or something like that, right? Or we get disapproval, or whatever your trigger is, and then that inner child gets activated, and the feelings start coming up, and we don't want to acknowledge that. So then the firefighter aspect comes up and wants to soothe in some way. So it's like these gears start shifting, and how do we kind of unblend, not over-identify with any of these moving parts, but come from the higher aspect of self. And this is what I guide people through. This is internal family systems model of healing. So this is what I might guide someone through during a session, is kind of negotiating and talking to these parts until this, there's more of this self presence, the true self, that's able to create more coherence. So internally, and potentially break this patterning, right? Yeah, this unburdening of the initial core wound. And that's inner alchemy. Let's go to the archetype cards to see what part is coming up. Take the spotlight. Hedonist. Hedonist is coming up. The light attributes inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself. And then the shadow attributes pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. So the firefighter part, right? At its highest expression, it inspires creative energy, which is what we said about the feminine, right? When we were talking about with the ametrine balancing masculine and feminine side to creatively inspire you, and then the masculine side to give you confidence. So the hedonist, and it's interesting that a female is portrayed there, inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty in yourself, or pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. So hedonist is being highlighted here, right? And the hedonist gets activated to sort of get us out of the uncomfortable feelings, right? Or pain. So but this aspect, you know, it's interesting because this is a different philosophy probably with the archetypes, but right, because archetypes, we talk about integration and owning those aspects. And then with parts therapy, it's more about they'll always be there. We observe them, right? There's no integration happening. There's building coherence and relationship with these moving parts. So I'm trying to discern if there's a difference here in the way this is being laid out. Inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates the beauty. No, I can see where if you're coming from self-presence, that would be in balance naturally. It's interesting that, you know, we have Lord here that's kind of taking charge with authority in a very masculine way. And then we have the hedonist, which is portrayed as a feminine, right? Feminine principle of pleasure, creating, celebrating the beauty of yourself. So yeah, interesting that's being indicated here. Where should we go from here? Let's go to The Alchemical Tarot Renewed by Robert M. Place. Sometimes, just the awareness of the pattern can illuminate something and begin the process of unraveling it, unpacking it, as that higher aspect of self sort of, we begin observing from that place and providing these parts with more self energy, and unblending from them. It all happens in the mind, you know? We can certainly experience it in the body, though. If you've ever had that experience, that expanded feeling or that unburdening, it shifts internally, and you can feel it in your body. So for me, I'm very, I guess you would say somatic. My experiences are very, I feel them in every area of the body. I get visuals. I'm very connected to doing that kind of inner work, which is why I went to study it, right? I don't think every modality is helpful for every person. Some people just don't resonate. I've even tried practicing with friends, and they just don't get it. They don't resonate with it, you know? So it only speaks to certain people, I think. Although it can potentially help anyone, I think. Interesting. This one fell out. This facing the fears, right? The 9 of Swords. This guy's facing a lot of fears here on this card. So that's something we can do when we're working with a protector part. And with protector part, I'm talking about the manager or the firefighter. We can ask what it's afraid will happen, right, if it no longer protects. And sort of explore and hear it, listen, you know, show it respect. So after the facing the fears card, right, the death card's coming up. An end to this cycle, an end to the process. This can also be about those aspects that have transcended death, right? Those patterns that come in from past experiences, past lives. I see the crow indicated there. Sometimes that can represent magic, such as doing the inner alchemy work. So an end to this fearful cycle by following the fearful pattern and asking, right? Asking, not resisting, acknowledging and listening, right? Oftentimes these parts are in place because we've been dismissed, right? Our emotions were dismissed. Our experience was dismissed. So we were like, I guess I have to just push this part out and not own it. We call that an exile. And then we do it to ourselves, right? So it will be important to acknowledge and listen and hear these parts out. And then we have the devil. Interesting, there's masculine and feminine aspect on one body, right? Generally, in the Waite Smith symbolism, there is a man and a woman in separate bodies, but they're shackled together. In this deck, Robert Place, he depicts them in one body. And it's so interesting. We're working with the masculine and feminine principles here. You know, perhaps this, maybe there is this, sort of disconnect or dissociation with identity, or something like that has come up, or you've been working through. Shifting out of that, and you know, investing in yourself and your process, nurturing yourself, learning to love yourself, to care for yourself. This can also represent, to me, in the internal family systems model, it can also represent unblending with a part, not giving it too much, not too little, right? This can be a representation of your self with a capital S, higher self, true self, loving your parts, providing your parts with nurturing, right? As maybe the vessels here represent different parts. And then the woman in the card can represent that true self, providing nurturing, understanding, love, patience, and nurturing those parts from the inside out. That's the 9 of Vessels in this deck. Then we have a new passionate beginning as we've worked through, right? A new beginning, a new paradigm, right? As we work through that patterning. Oftentimes we get into these patterns, right? Of stuffing down our feelings through whatever vice, because we're avoiding a big creative dream that we don't feel good enough for or ready for, right? There's some reason. So if you have this big dream, know that this might be a form of self-sabotage, right? In avoidance of creating. Interesting that the feminine principle comes up, right? The feminine shows up to create, to nurture. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see what medicine, wisdom we might get from the angels here. I'm trying to make these readings more concise, a little shorter, but I might have to use less cards. But I feel like to really flesh it out and get the story, it takes some time. Let's see what angel medicine. Crystals. Interesting that 2 crystals came out, right? Crystals. The energy of crystals supports you and helps you with your present situation. So maybe working with certain crystals. We did get 3. We got cerussite, which I've never seen or worked with. And that's saying a lot because I've worked with crystals a lot in my life, in metaphysical stores that sold almost every kind of crystal, right? So I've never seen or worked with that one. We have apatite coming up, and that was the progress, not perfection. Don't compare yourself to others or judge yourself. It can also help balance appetite, like actual appetite. I know it's spelled differently. But if that's one of the ways you self-soothe, it can help with that. We have ametrine here as well, which is one of my favorite crystals, right? Because it works with the crown as well as the solar plexus, balancing masculine and feminine energies. That might be the one, right? To create this inner alchemy. One last card from the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr to end this reading for my water dominant people. Let me know if this is resonating in the comments. Is this your story? Is this what you're working through? That feedback really helps me. I appreciate it. And liking the video and subscribing to the channel really helps as well. Let's see. Compassion for all. Compassion for all of your parts. Compassion is the beating heart of all spiritual practices. The peace you seek comes from the peace you create. Extend your compassion to all beings today, including yourself. Everyone benefits when you are kind. May all beings be happy and free. So compassion is highlighted here. And compassion starts with self, right? When you're in self energy, self presence, self with a capital S, you have compassion, you know, patience, playfulness. So I hope that you found some medicine here, right? Working through these fears, creating a little more coherence internally, right? Alchemizing these different aspects of self. I hope this was helpful. Crystals might be something to look at, to work with. Ametrine, apatite, or cerussite, or cerussite, I'm not sure how to pronounce it even, might speak to you. I hope this was helpful. You are an alchemist doing the inner work. That's to be celebrated. All right, check out your other dominant elements and see if those readings resonate. Thanks for liking the video, subscribing to the channel so I know I'm on the right track here, sharing with people that it might resonate with. And if you want a personal reading, individual session, or to donate to the channel to help keep me going, that'll all be linked in the description of this video. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, empath. Hi there to my fire dominant people. So fire dominant just means you have the majority of planets in fire signs. You've gone to astro.com and checked that out. Or you just know your chart. Or maybe you're Pitta dosha in Ayurvedic medicine, or you just resonate with fiery style. However you got here. Let's pull a crystal card from Healing Crystals and see what we're looking at here. We got praying mantis as the animal spirit, insect spirit, and septarian. Patience, stillness, timing. Patience, stillness, timing. Praying mantis. Patience, stillness, timing. So there might be something about studying the approach of a praying mantis, how it hunts, how it mates, something about that process to inform your approach in getting a desired outcome, right? Or interactions, right? Acknowledging that there might be something to tweak here as far as approach. Thinking about your long-term goal. Right? Getting out of impulsivity and thinking more strategically. Let's go to the oracle cards here. We have dietary change. So maybe you're noticing certain foods aren't friendly. Maybe they once were and they no longer are. You're maybe also noticing stomach upsets, irritability, anxiety, inflammation. Might be stemming from what you're putting in your body. Maybe you're getting more sensitive to chemicals. You also might have different needs and you need to fuel differently, right? Maybe something changed, an aspect changed in your life. Maybe you're more sedentary now, or more active, and you just need to look at how you're fueling or how you're supplementing, you would know what that is. Just honoring your needs, the needs of your body. Be the powerful presence of peace. Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. Peter 1, chapter 5, verse 7. Be the powerful presence of peace. Give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about you. So there's something about unburdening here. Unburdening something you've been carrying, either an ancestral burden or a worry, right? That's not helpful. It can also be about having prayer time, praying to a higher power, calling on faith, right? We do have praying mantis, and maybe that's one approach here we're looking at. Praying for patience, praying for stillness, or taking that time to sit in prayer, in stillness. You know, when you pray for patience, often you aren't overcome with a sense of patience. You're given opportunities to develop that muscle, right? So know that and be aware that if that's something you're working on, that you're going to be probably given opportunities to wait something out. A timing issue might come up. So just know that, be aware of that, and have that, keep an eye out for that opportunity to practice. Travel is coming up. Your life purpose involves traveling. Maybe you're anxious to start traveling again right after this quarantine ends. Or you're planning to travel and you're feeling a little impatient and confined right now. That's understandable. How can we unburden some of that so you can come into a greater state of peace internally, which will then radiate out, have more peace externally. Let's go to the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards to see if there's a guide or an archetype we can call on here. Give us more information about what's happening. For my fire dominant people. Shaolin Master, be graceful in movement and action. Be graceful in movement and action. Look what's on his hand. Can you see that? It's a praying mantis. Okay, when I say that it's not about me, it's really the cards and the symbols coming up. Can you argue with that? I mean, wow. Okay, so praying mantis is coming up again. A symbol of gracefulness in movement and action. And look at the focus and concentration on his face. This is something he cultivated internally, right? He's working with his inner resources. And maybe some kind of practice like that, it speaks to you, calls to you. Maybe you're already doing it. Working with the resources of the body. Right. I studied medical qigong for a while, and that's all about movements and practices with the mind and body to optimize the body's usage of its resources, as well as to develop the ability to concentrate and meditate and have a better quality of life, right? More longevity and better quality of life. And maybe that's speaking to you right now. Maybe there is some kind of practice that's speaking to you, and this is confirmation for that. And it will develop your connection, right? It'll give you a heightened sense of the connection between you and a higher power, helping to unburden, helping the unburdening process, and possibly helping with more flexibility, right? And flexibility of the spine, and range of motion, right? There's a protocol in medical qigong of self-massage and movement to help keep the energy flowing optimally. So maybe you're traveling to participate in a retreat or experience like that, or to learn that, or the travel card is coming up to symbolize movement. Finding sanctuary. Oh, maybe you have this, I have to get out of here, right? This feeling inside where I have to get out of here. And you're anchoring that to, I need to travel. And maybe this is coming up to say it's really just you experiencing this charged energy, and maybe this lack of flow. And you're being called to look at things that might be influencing that, instead of I need to get out of here, in that I need to travel, or I need to move away or run away. There might be things you can do right here and now that are simple, right? That will help optimize your sense of wellness and well-being and health. And they may be small tweaks. You might not need to move to the other country or whatever it is, right? Maybe there's something you can do to have greater influence over your sense of well-being and optimizing your health, that you can do right here and now. Using strategies for longevity. Oh, okay. Because when this card first came out, I was thinking that patience was about having opportunities to wait, practice patience. It can also be honoring that life is about the long term, longevity, creating a sustainable approaches to things. And maybe part of that is caring for the body itself. Maybe that's what you're focused on, you're tweaking right now, right? Because it can be with fire dominant people, or people with exacerbated fire, it can be this rush, right? This impatient, I need to move, I need to get out. I want to go fast, right? I want to build momentum. I want to take action. And this card is calling for you to be graceful in that action, and graceful implies being in tune with the grace of a higher power, right? Or a higher aspect of self. And we're seeing be the powerful presence of peace. Give all your worries and cares to God, for He cares about you. Or a higher aspect of self, universe, source, spirit, whatever term resonates with you, Mother Nature. And, praying mantis, has that come up for you? It's just so interesting that that came up twice. It doesn't focus. Where do we go from here? Let's go to the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. I always feel like the influence of my fire dominant people makes it for a shorter reading. It just goes faster. Get to the point faster. Tuning into the pace of the fire dominant. So are you considering taking up a martial art, yoga, qigong, something that's sort of mindful movement, even meditation? Oops. Let's see. Okay, so we have the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is man in meditation, right? This soldier is resting from battle here. And any minute he could pick up that sword and go back out to battle, but he's resting, he's meditating, regrouping, re-strategizing. That might be what's taking place right now. And then we have the King of Cups coming in. King of Cups can be a water sign or water dominant male. Someone who's in control of their emotions. It can also just be that energy, that aspect of being in control of the emotions, master of the emotions, right? The emotional realm, relationships. Not revealing, their hand as far as emotions. We then have the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles here, this can be a younger or less mature earth sign or earth dominant person. This can also be about your journey and your experience. So let's see. Maybe this is an aspect of life that you're working on, right? The financial aspect, or the material world, or the physical, right? Your physical body. That can be indicated by the pentacles. And the Page is an inexperienced person. So maybe this is the learning curve for you. And this is what you're working on, right? Maybe the King of Cups is coming up to say, I have a mastery over my emotions, right? I've done a lot of work on my emotional process, or even not over-identifying with emotions, right? As a fire dominant, maybe that's something that you feel you have a mastery over. So the patience. Okay, so the patience is coming up. Now that's more of a fiery, okay, so working on mastering patience, being able to slow down, mastering thoughts in order to master emotions. Okay. The mind, right? How we use the mind, you're training your mind. And that's what this person's doing here through meditation, concentration, working with the elements, graceful movement and action, being more strategic, planning for longevity and sustainability. So a mastery over the emotions. And maybe the learning curve here is this, understanding how the body operates, or optimizing the use of the resources, as we were saying. And then we have the Fool card coming up, which can be a new beginning, right? First card, the Major Arcana. It's the Fool's journey. So a new leg of a new phase, right? Or a new cycle starting. Maybe it is this coming out of the quarantine and a new cycle of life starting. This was maybe the reset as we distanced, as we socially distanced, as we quarantined, and then a new cycle is starting as we slowly come out of this quarantine. Maybe that's what the travel is also indicating here. And maybe this time has been a little bit more sedentary than you're used to. So working on strengthening the body there, which can be hard on the emotions, right? When we don't move as much, when we don't exercise as much, we don't get out a lot of the pent up emotional energy, and it doesn't flow out as much. But the Fool has integrated some of the wisdom from previous portions of the journey, lessons that came up. The Fool's integrated that, taking a first step in a new cycle, right? Coming back around to see things from a higher perspective, inevitably. But this new leg of the journey will be informed by the previous one. And now the King of Wands is showing up. So now there is this mastery over passions, over impulses, right? That could also be what the Pentacle is indicating too. Learning a mastery over finances, which can be a learning curve for fire dominant people, right? The impulses, the impulse to spend, to eat, right? Those creating an experience where you have more impulse control, and that might be what this card is symbolizing. So this is part of this new beginning, having more of a mastery over your impulse control. And maybe that's what this dietary change was coming in about, right? Really mastering this, slowing down. Maybe mindful eating is coming up for you. Or intuitive eating. Maybe that's on your radar right now. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. And the Queen of Pentacles is an upgrade from the page, right? Leveling up to a new, right? So as we master the impulse control, right, of spending or eating or whatever it is, we level up to the Queen. So this strategy and approach, we can see how maybe this lack of impulse control previously has led to leaked over into issues of areas of finances, right? If there's a financial issue, we don't just look at earning, we look at spending too, right? So, and that can apply maybe to all areas. Maybe that's what you're fine tuning in this time, right? And an upgrade is here, right? You're even peacocking. The peacock's coming up. So even refining looks, right? Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards and see what will be medicine for you at this time. This might also be an association between travel and spending, travel and eating, right? Maybe we're breaking down those associations as well. Maybe that's part of what this quarantine has aided with is, you know, breaking some of these patterns, right? Because of lack of exposure. So we got the sacral chakra. Sacral chakra, you are highly sensitive to chemicals, additives, processed foods, and energies right now. Respect your sensitivities by avoiding harsh items, situations, and relationships. Interesting, right? Like that came up earlier when we got the dietary changes card. The chemicals, the additives, processed foods. So there's a sensitivity being highlighted right now. So just noticing, observing how you feel and what your experience is of everything that you ingest and surround yourself with, and making changes if that you know speaks to you, if you feel called to do that. And before making any drastic changes, of course, consulting someone who has an expertise in that area. You know, I wouldn't want to give advice on that without, you know, without acknowledging that you want to be wise when you do those things. See. And the final card is celebrate your love. Celebrate your love. When we cherish our beloved, the bond grows stronger. We create deeper levels of trust, intimacy, and friendship. It's all too easy to get comfortable and put your relationship on cruise control. So spice it up instead. Do something special and spontaneous. And if you're currently looking for your soulmate, take yourself out for a fun date. The happier and more connected you are to yourself, the more attractive you will be to others. So there is something here about this need for excitement and pleasure, right? And stimulation, and that may be creating some impulsive activities that aren't in your best interest, and eating patterns and spending patterns, right? So just looking at that and maybe seeing what that's replacing. Maybe that's replacing this connection in relationships, emotional intimacy, connection to a higher power, right? We got the praying mantis here. We got the be the powerful presence of peace, connection to giving all your cares to God. We sometimes do that in to feel more connected to ourselves internally, right? We choose different foods that are really heavy so that it slows down our internal process and we can be with ourselves and feel more connected there. We also might choose others to feel more stimulated, right? Other food sources or chemicals to feel more stimulated, or right, or the sweet taste to feel more sweetness in life if we don't feel we have enough loving, intimate connection. So maybe that's part of this, is seeing what this is replacing, and maybe finding healthier ways and approaches to replace some of these unhealthier patterns. And maybe that's what this time has been about, and that's what you've had that revealed to you, right? And you're on that path to upgrade to the Queen of Pentacles, right? Interesting that the praying mantis came up twice, so that might have meaning for you. Maybe researching the praying mantis, and there's something about the praying mantis for you that its approach, or even its stance. I'm sure someone has some information about the praying mantis that will resonate for you somewhere. I hope that resonates. Remember to celebrate your love and to celebrate love in your life in general. That can be good medicine. Let me know if that resonates in the comments. Look at your other dominant elements and see if there's medicine in those readings for you. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. If you want a personal session, personal reading, or to donate to the channel, those links will be in the description. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, empath. Hi there to my air dominant people. So air dominant just means you have the majority of planets in air signs in your zodiac chart, or you are Vata dosha in Ayurvedic medicine, or you just resonate with air style. However you got here, we'll trust that. Let's go to Healing Crystals Oracle cards to see what's coming up. We have Chrysanthemum Stone. Chrysanthemum Stone, time travel, harmony, stability. I remain filled with wonder as I progress on my spiritual path. Time travel, harmony, stability. I remain filled with wonder. So there's something about childlike wonder, beginner's mind, right? Maybe there's some way you're filling in informational gaps where there's really an unknown and it's not serving you anymore. Let's go to the oracle cards and see. Let's flesh this out a little bit. Heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. So maybe part of this creating more harmony and stability is making assumptions or taking something personally that has nothing to do with you, right? And maybe that's this informational gap that you're filling, and you're making incorrect assumptions and maybe even regressing. Maybe that's why time travel is coming up as well with the chrysanthemum stone. That you're regressing to a painful pattern from a previous relationship, or even a parental relationship, right? And it's creating suffering. We have walk away from illusions and toward truth. Walk away from illusions and toward truth. Show me the right path, O Lord. Point out the road for me to follow. Psalm chapter 25, verse 4. Walk away from illusions and toward truth, right? So I was onto something about making assumptions and maybe making something personal that wasn't personal, and meaning it's not about you and who you are and how valuable you are. It's about the person's needs, right? It might be about the other person's needs and what they need in that moment, and their needs are different than yours, so it creates fear in you, right? If a partner needs space and that's not really a huge need of ours, that can create fear because we sense love being taken away, right? When it might just be that person needs space at that moment. And that can trigger fears of abandonment, right? We regress very easily into that. So it might be important to communicate during a time where it's not charged, where you're both very neutral in a positive space, and open to connecting, that you bring up, boundaries or communication. We have a new dawn here. A new dawn. The worst is now behind you, and positive new experiences are on the horizon. So perhaps you're also breaking down some of these illusions. Doing some inner reflection, inner work, collapsed some of these triggers. Maybe just this self-actualization and knowing yourself enough, building self-esteem through self-care and reparenting by being really present to yourself. Some kind of practice in that has really helped you see when things aren't personal, right? It helped you get out of that trap, that illusion we have that's really created in childhood, right? When we don't have power and we make everything about us. That's a very childlike way. So that's one way that this beginner's mind or childlike wonder can be used against us, right? We use it against ourselves. So finding balance in that. Let's go to the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards by Kyle Gray and see if there's a guide here to give us some more information. About this new dawn, new beginning on the healing path. So, stag, trust and thrive. Trust and thrive. The stag guide. So trust, maybe trust issues and dealing with those issues that may be about bond with mother, right? Maybe there was this break in the bond with mother or a conflicted relationship. That creates some trust issues, and you're also learning to trust yourself. And that's on the path to empowerment, right? you're right on time in doing that and looking at that and working through that. So building more trust in relationship, which starts with trust in self, right? Trusting yourself to handle anything that comes, to work through those irrational thoughts and feelings that come up, because they will, right? We'll have emotions that when we're regressed and we're thinking in that child from that child perspective, they'll seem too burdensome to bear, right? Or it will seem like it's an issue of survival, and we'll get triggered in that way. So just learning to be there for yourself, right? To upgrade the self-care if needed here, to really be present, listen, provide love to yourself in some way, however that works for you, whatever makes you feel loved, nurtured, cared for. To have those systems in place where you're doing that for yourself consistently, so you're not running on deficit. And also working through these attachment issues with an experienced practitioner or therapist or counselor, right? If needed, if that speaks to you. Just having a support system in place that is nourishing for you, so that you're able to thrive, right? So that you can trust life more. And sometimes that is in healing relationship to mother, because that informs our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to higher power, to everyone else in our lives, right? To Mother Earth, our connection, our feeling of belonging here. It informs so many things. So we look at that. There might be this sense that love was taken away. And if you are in a partnership right now, you might look into some kind of therapeutic couples counseling or activities, right, that nourish the bond. And learning to, know and trust yourself enough to speak on boundaries in a loving way, and just refining these things. It seems like they're already in the works. You've already been working towards it because we have a new dawn here. Maybe there's also this new level of detachment, where it doesn't feel like this barter anymore. Like, you're learning that, I can give my resources to myself. I can give my love to myself, and then just radiate love out. And then it's not like I'm giving love to you in order for you to give love to me. And it's this clunky exchange that never really evens out. It never feels equal, right? And, the man who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I can't remember his name. Is his last name Gray? I can't quite remember, but he has a TED Talk about this where it's really funny. It's really interesting. He talks about how women have this point system in relationship, and how we both give ourselves points for things in our minds, right? Like, but for women, we measure it differently. So every little thing, we give ourselves a point, right? That we've added value to the relationship. And men value things differently. So they think if they bring a whole bouquet of flowers home, right? One flower equals 1 point. So one bouquet equals all these points. They did this grand gesture, but for us, that's 1 point. You did one thing. And how we're giving ourselves, we're so generous with our points. Like I folded the napkin this way. He's really funny. You have to check that out if you've never seen it. It's really, really funny. Just the differences in the way, men and women show up to relationship and how they interact. It's really fascinating and really funny and amusing the way he delivers that speech. It's a TED Talk. Sometimes just arming yourself with information gives you an advantage, gives you an edge, helps you see things differently, that it's not a competition, that, you can work together in collaboration and co-create an experience, and if you're single too, it really helps inform. So you take less things personally and learn to start investing in yourself, right? Give yourself points for investing in yourself because it adds up. It makes an impact in the relationship. Let's go to The Alchemical Tarot Renewed by Robert M. Place and get a little more information about this. Oh, I'm dropping cards already. That disappeared, I think. So the bottom of the deck is the Two of Pentacles, Two of Coins in this deck. And this is the coming together of the alchemical opposites. You can see the sun and the moon representing masculine and feminine essence. The lion, the male lion with the eagle's head in its mouth. It's this... this alchemizing of the alchemical opposites merging together in this Two of Pentacles. So maybe there is this idea of creating balance here. Creating balance. Yeah, and the traditional deck, the Waite-Smith symbolism, I think the Two of Pentacles is someone kind of juggling these two pentacles, which can be about weighing different options, bringing, trying to create balance, make a decision. I believe in this deck it is about these opposites coming together and creating alchemy, right? Creating a relationship, right? So transcending, alchemy is about creating something that's greater than the sum of its parts. So that is what happens in relationship, right? A man and a woman, or however you identify, whatever gender you identify as, the couple comes together and creates a relationship which is greater than the two individuals separately, right? It creates a synergy. So we have the Ace of Pentacles here, which is this new beginning, this new dawn that we saw earlier. A new fertile beginning as we see the bunny. So this might be a new paradigm in an already existing relationship, right? Because you've worked through some of this wounding, some of this irrational process that creates patterns that aren't helpful for you. This can also be a fresh new beginning with somebody else, with somebody new. And maybe there is a choice here for you. The next card that comes up is the Eight of Staffs. This is someone hard at work, chopping down these staffs, right? Chopping down these trees, hard at work. Can be manual labor. This can be about working on yourself, right? Investing in that, working hard. This can be representative of that hard work you've put into yourself. Learning to trust yourself. And then we have the Queen of Staffs. The Queen of Staffs is the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands is usually someone that's a fire sign or fire dominant, a woman, right? This passionate, creative queen. In this deck, it can represent a choice, as she's holding two different staffs, and that's where the choice came in. There's this refined wand on the right, and then the raw, primal staff on the left. So one might be more refined. That would be this approach of working on yourself. And then there's the raw, primal instinct and urge, which would be this coming together, this four of wands, four of staffs. And, you know, they're so, this couple in this image, it can mean different things in different spreads. What I'm noticing in this couple is that they're so glued to each other that it may not be sustainable, right? It might be too heavy. There's this wanting to merge, and that doesn't always work, right? It doesn't work because we often need this. This can be an indication of this attachment issue, right? Of wanting to merge with another person, because that's our style, love style that we learned from a caregiver, parent, right? So this idea, the staffs themselves are separate, right? Modeling like we're two separate beings coming together to form a relationship. We need to stay, right, aligned, and instead we're coming into each other and merging here, which is what this, you know, and that might prove too heavy if we don't kind of do that inner work around enmeshing or looking at those attachment issues. Maybe some space is required here. Not like a separation, but just normal, healthy times apart, right? where you're focusing on your purpose and path. Maybe there was a sense that this person was your purpose at one time, and you're waking up to that illusion that there's a bigger purpose for you here. So the relationship will need to balance out accordingly. Or your idea of the place a relationship will take in your life is shifting as you come into a stronger sense of purpose and alignment with a higher power. And we have the Justice card coming in, which is Libra energy. That might resonate with you. Balance, fairness, justice. Justice can also be about the court system, right? So, and working in your favor, but that might be part of what this walk away from illusion and toward truth. Maybe this is something you're experiencing now or going through. And a fair outcome is indicated with the Justice card. And at the core of this relationship, whatever you're looking at here as far as relationship, it is this maybe looking for parental love in a partner, and that's too heavy for it to sustain, right? And maybe that's part of the patterning that you've been co-creating with somebody, and that's what's breaking down right now. You're moving away from that illusion, right? Seeking mother's love or father's love in partner after partner, or been putting that on your spouse. It's just too heavy. That's what's been breaking down. That's what hasn't been working. And maybe that's what this heart-to-heart conversation needs to be about. Maybe you're feeling that weight, right, of a needy partner. And that can be worked out, right? Just sorting through so that we create more trust here and a healthy relationship can thrive. Let's see. Let's go to the Angel Medicine Oracle cards. Let's see what's coming up as medicine. Clear yourself. Clear yourself. Ask the angels to release any toxic energies that you may have absorbed. That might be what this balancing is about, right? Justice comes when there's two aligned people, right? We have the two pillars there. That might be what this getting to work, right? What that's indicating here, so that we can have this fresh start, substantial new beginning, new dawn, to create a sense of balance and fairness. And, more reason than maybe some of the regressing to wounds of childhood, or illusions that we can receive parental love through a partner, right? Working through that for a fresh start. Let's go to the Crazy Sexy Love Notes deck by Chris Carr and see how we want to wrap this reading up. So much energy. Cards are just flying everywhere. One last card. Be mindful with your money, honey. It's the last message that wants to come through. Investing. Are you spending above your means, avoiding the reality of your bank account, shopping to numb any negative feelings or pain? It may be time to clean up your relationship with money. Let go of the fear and shame around your finances and take responsibility for your future today. Any unwise decisions you've made in the past are behind you. Seek guidance where needed and keep the big picture of your financial well-being in mind. Remember, money saved is money earned. Interesting. This information came up for the fire dominant people as well, working through finances and investment. Maybe this is part of the relationship issue you're looking at, and maybe maybe this is a side effect, right, of not feeling excitement or fulfillment in relationship. And it's another thing that's linked to relationship with mother, is this idea of provision and security. So another reason to kind of look at that connection. And then relationship to father, when we work through that, it helps us look at what we do in the world, right? And sometimes our confidence level, right? So looking at those aspects from that perspective of what have we kind of taken on, and what is time to clear, what's ready to be cleared here, what's no longer working, and what can we open up to with our logic and reasoning to cut through. And then some need deeper work, right? Some patterns just need deeper work. But you're ready for a fresh start and a new beginning, and trust to thrive in relationship, and that'll trickle out into all areas, right? And that can be what time travel was all about too. That those healing experiences, those moments of expansion, of understanding and enlightenment, trickle back in time, and they ripple into the future as well. So we can go back in meditation and visualization and change a situation, right? We can also move forward into a parallel future where we have the outcome we want, right? And work with that future self. There's so many possibilities and potentials to tune into. So use that brilliant mind of yours, right? Air dominant people are excellent thinkers, communicators. Use that mental power that you have to harness this potential, this healing potential. The possibilities are endless, and you probably find it your own unique way even to do it. All right, I hope that was helpful. I hope there was some medicine in there for you. Let me know in the comments if it resonated. Check out your other dominant elements to see if there's medicine in those readings for you as well. If you want a personal reading or session, or to donate to the channel, I'm really grateful for all who are donating. It's really helping me to sustain putting my work out there. And that'll all be linked in the description of this video. And thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That's really valuable to me as well. And sharing with anyone who might be helped by this information. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, empath.